What is up, YouTube? I am Laura, and you're watching Atomic News TV. And tonight, we got a whole lot going on today. It's a big day. Hey, Margot, how's it going? I'm going to have a guest on the show tonight that we have talked to before in one of my live streams. We're going to bring on Sam Williams. I don't know if you guys remember him, but he's a really cool guy. He is running for Congress right now, trying to unseat Veronica Escobar, which would be an amazing thing, not only for Texas, but for America. So he's going to kind of tell us a little bit about the dirty politics game, which I talked to him earlier today, and he told me a few things that just blew my mind. So we're going to talk to him today, and then I need to tell you guys about the Mexican drive-thru on the border. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. But before we get into that, if you're new here, make sure you hit that subscribe button and make sure you hit that like button. All right, you guys. If you're feeling frisky tonight and you feel like super chatting, it's that little button where you're typing in the chat room. You can make a donation to my channel just to support future content. If you can't, that's okay. Just like usual. I still want you here regardless. But I appreciate anything you guys, feel like throwing at me. I want to introduce you guys to somebody real quick, though. We have an addition to my family. Hey, Bug.
Yeah.
You want to bring him in?
Yep, he's right here.
He's right here.
He's ready.
I want to show you guys
Ragnar.
this. No, it's not Ragnar. You guys have met Ragnar.
Yeah, you've seen him in all my videos.
All right. This is my newest baby.
Can I say hi?
You guys say hi to my newest wiener. Is he not the cutest ever? Okay, he came into my store, okay? And now some of you that watch my show, I love you too. You can figure out where I work now if you live in the Phoenix metro area just by looking at this little puppy. Here, you can take him back.
Yeah.
But that is my new baby. His name is Junior. That was Atomic Junior. The puppy's name is Junior. His daddy's name, I kid you not, you guys, his daddy's name, Trump, all right? His daddy's name was Trump. So his name is Trump Jr. or TJ or Junior. But that is the new addition to the Atomic family, and I wanted to show him off today. I hope you guys think he's cute. He's a real cool guy. Very sweet, very nice puppy. Shooter does not like him. Surprise, surprise. What really surprised me, though, is that Reagan, yes, I have a dog. His name is Ronald Reagan. Reagan doesn't like Trump Jr. Yeah, so that's going to be interesting. Luckily, those dogs stay in my kitchen most of the day because they're naughty dogs. But the other dogs seem okay with them, so that's really cool. So I wanted to show you guys Trump Jr. So now I have a Ronald Reagan and a Trump Jr. Yeah, and maybe I'll nickname him 46 because Donald Trump is 45, and let's hope there's another Trump in the line after his term. So, all right, you guys. I have a couple articles that I want to get into after we talk to Sam. I'm just going to let Sam have the show for a while. And just tell us what's going on in Texas and everything that he's been going through while he's running for Congress. Yeah, it gets dirty on all levels, and there's a lot of stuff that happens behind the scenes that we don't know of, we don't see, we're not aware of. We just see that candidate. But we don't see the whole picture. We don't see things that are happening in the background, things that are happening on the side, and he's going to kind of bring light to that. And then, yes, we're going to talk about that Mexican border drive-thru, you guys. You're not going to believe it. You are not going to believe it. We're going to talk about a 911 rescue that happened on the border. We're going to talk about FEMA. Yes, FEMA. Guilty in paying money to the churches that help all the migrants, okay, including the ones here in Phoenix. You guys, we've covered this a whole bunch of times. I've talked about it. Jen from AZ Patriots has talked about it. Patriot Movement AZ has talked about it. A whole lot of people have talked about it. Okay, but now we have some evidence that FEMA is involved with some cash flow their way to help when those migrants come and stay here in the Phoenix metro area and other areas. It's probably happening in New Mexico, probably happening in Texas. And then we're going to talk about some creative ways to hide drugs, because we've talked about this 100 times at least on my channel, and all the creative ways that they try to smuggle drugs over the border. You won't believe what they did this time. First it was coconuts, then it was up in the wheelbarrow, like up in the hub of the car, and then it was hiding them in rocks. Like they made them look like fake rock. Well, not like fake rocks. They were fake rocks, but they turned it into rocks, and then when you hit it with a sledgehammer and you opened it up, drugs were inside. Okay. Yeah. I told you they're going to keep coming out with more creative ways. And yeah. So I am going to give my friend Sam a call. He's waiting for my call. I do have a lot of people that are watching the show tonight, so I want to personally welcome all the new people that are here tonight. If you want me to see something that you're saying in the chat room, make sure you do the @ symbol and then Atomic News. It'll pop up orange, just like Lenny just did to me. Atomic News says, nothing surprises me. Open borders. Yep, I agree. So if you want something to pop up and me to specifically see it, you have to do the @ Atomic News. Or if you super chat and you hit that $sign and you make a donation to my channel, it will let you put a comment or a question, and it will pop up like bright highlighted to me, so I can't miss it. Now, if I'm talking though to Sam, I may not be able to acknowledge you while that's happening, but I will try my best to acknowledge you after the conversation, because I want everybody to know that I see them and you are important to me, and what you say is important. So let's go ahead and give Sam a call. He's expecting my call. So let's give it a sec here. Let me move the atomic phone. Don't forget to hit the like button, guys. If you haven't hit the like button, do it. All right, we're going to give him a call. There we go.
Your call has been forwarded to an automated voicemail system.
Sam!
9.
Somebody probably called him. Watch. Like right when he's waiting for me. So we'll give him a sec. But let's try this one more time. I like literally just text him like before I started the live stream. I'm like, give me a few seconds. So we'll give him another try here. He knows that I'm calling.
All right, Laura, I got you this time.
All right, cool. I was like, wait a minute.
Button, I guess, you know.
I figured so.
I know you did.
So how you doing tonight?
Good. I just put a tweet out, said, hey, watch breaking news at 8:05 on Atomic News.
Yes, absolutely. Well, you are live now on my live stream.
Okay.
So I kind of gave everybody a heads up that you were going to give us some info on some, how dirty politics can be.
Oh, it's ridiculous, And politics is definitely a learning curve. And, if you trust somebody, you expect them to always do, especially your campaign manager, you always ask them to do something. But when there's always pushback with that particular individual, there's obviously a problem or something hidden that comes out. Mm-hmm. Eventually we'll find it out.
Right.
And I got a phone call earlier today that kind of, my campaign's being sabotaged.
Wow.
From the inside. And I don't have a lot of people that work for me.
Right. Right.
And that's one of the things that one reason why I don't think you don't want a big campaign staff, because you don't know where the moles are going to come from.
Right.
Or who is really on your side or who's not. Well, I got a phone call from a mutual friend that we have today. And, this person started telling me a whole lot of stuff that I didn't know was happening.
Right.
And it was really unusual, and you're privy to the information already, I know.
Yes.
And it's pretty amazing that, you can play the part well and still be, basically a rat in the nest.
Right.
And I feel like that's what's going on. I'm pretty sure it is, because they're starting to put a lot of things together. My current campaign manager, or if you want to call it that, because it's not going to last much longer, based on going back in time, I met this guy at the symposium. Just briefly, didn't really think too much about it, because he was hanging out with my other GOP opponent, and it is what it is. He seemed like a pretty decent guy at the time.
Right.
So I talked to him for like 6 hours to interview this guy, because I want to vet somebody that you're going to have to put a lot of trust in to make sure that you're getting the right person for the job that's going to run your campaign.
Right. This is a very, serious thing that you're doing. You're running for Congress. You have to have somebody that's in your corner and working for you, and the right person.
And when you ask somebody a question, or you get somebody else that's involved with your campaign that's getting a bunch of emails and stuff, and they're telling you this stuff, that you need to change this and you need to make something happen because people are getting upset. I'm not I know nothing about social media, to be honest with you. I can play on Twitter really well, but Facebook is definitely not my game. It's not. No,
right.
So anyway, that being said, you look at it, and then when you ask them, why are you doing this? Well, that's all, I went to school for this. It's marketing and all that. I got it. But when you get several other people telling you something totally different about it, that it doesn't work, and then you're looking at traffic numbers and they're actually dropping, because we can all see this on Facebook, Twitter, wherever.
Right.
Even with your website. And yes, I'll give the guy credit. He did get me into some, into 2 Trump rallies when I was in the VIP area, which is great. It's a great place to be honest with you.
Right. Oh, yeah.
You get to meet a lot of people, but one of the things is that, I wanted to call a couple of the people we met, because I think it's the right. I'd rather talk to people myself too, just so they got a better feeling of who you are.
Right.
Well, anyway, very elusive with the phone numbers and stuff. He's like, one time I challenged him on a specific phone number, and he did get very defensive about it. You shouldn't be calling me this and that. But the thing was, I was getting alienated from people that are actually in my corner.
Right. Right.
And I didn't realize who was working behind the scenes, getting me into a lot of these great places and meeting great people, great patriots, out there.
Right. Right.
So this person actually called me, or actually messaged me, and I gave him my phone number to call me directly. And that's the thing. And then when you start putting the whole puzzle together, it's like, did the GOP here in El Paso try to sabotage me? Because I ran as an independent last time, which right?
Right.
That's right. We're going to write it. Because you need to learn how to run for office and understand the system, because just the system to get on the ballot to navigate is it's just a very monotonous task to do.
I can imagine.
It's not hard, but they put roadblocks in the way on purpose to keep people from running for office. Well, this person reached out to me because they got my number from the GOP.
Okay.
And, so I thought maybe, originally thinking that, this is probably a good thing. Maybe the GOP is actually going to support their a candidate this time for Congress, because they didn't last time. They threw that guy into the bus too.
Oh my.
Which is pretty typical here in El Paso. Okay. There's too many groups within the Republican Party, and they all think that they have, everybody always has the best idea. I don't have the best ideas, but I'll listen, because I think that's what you have to do. I think that's what you need to be. But my current campaign manager, Rick Rivera, he started alienating me from people and not wanting me to talk to people. And he was saying his background came from the music industry and that, but I don't want people to look at me as that I'm higher than them and things like that, because that's just not what this is all about. That's the problem we have with public office right now. Is people get into public office and they think they're nobility.
Right.
You know, and we're all far from that. You know, this is supposed to be a government of, you know, by the people, for the people.
Right.
We've gotten so far away from that now that it's crazy. You know, and one of the things I did learn about running for office, you do have to beat the crap out of your opponents, regardless whether it's a primary opponent or a, you know, general election opponent.
Right, right.
It's the nature of the beast. And it's 99% of the time, it's not personal, you know, until you start getting the, you know, the keyboard trolls behind it, where they're cussing you out and all that. And one of the things that's really bad about being a candidate or a elected official is you can't, by law, block people.
Right.
Your page, you know, if you block people on your personal page, you block them from all your other pages.
Right, right. Like, I think AOC got in trouble for doing something like that recently.
Well, so did the president. That's where all this started from. Donald Trump was, because he had so many haters out there.
Mm-hmm.
Black people. Okay, to me it makes sense. But the Supreme Court in July of 2017 ruled that you can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
You're suppressing freedom of speech at that point.
Right.
You know, and everything I've posted about Anthony Aguero, I've always had documentation to back it up. I haven't used anything that's conjecture. I've always put something with, you know, the record right there to make sure, so people would understand that, hey, look, I'm not just bashing this guy.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I'm not trying to bash him. And there's some other stuff that happened between Anthony, myself, and another person in my family. And he, you know, very popular guy on social media.
Mm-hmm. Right. And I think a lot of my viewers have seen, you know, videos from Anthony, so they most of them know who Anthony is.
Right.
Yeah.
And the thing was, when he announced, because I had already announced that really the day after the 2018 election, because I wasn't going to stop. But he approached my daughter about a position as being a precinct chair for the Republican Party.
Okay.
And my daughter said, well, you know, how's this going to affect my dad? Or, you know, because she, you know, is running. And she brought up the point, and she'll come in here and talk. She doesn't have a problem telling her side of this story.
Mm-hmm.
But she said, you know, my dad's running for Congress again, you know that. And if I do this, are you going to stand behind him? And he said, yes.
Okay.
I will support his campaign. Well, the 15th of June rolls around, and what happens?
He announces,
you know, doing a live feed on how to filling out his FEC Form 1.
Yeah.
You know, naturally, you went against your word. So now I have to come back at you. I don't have any choice.
Right.
You tied my hands in this. And the thing was, the reason that I wanted to stay an independent here in El Paso was because it's such a deep blue area. They've been voting blue since, you know, I was a year old.
Yeah.
We're not going to give people how long that's been, but that's a good. The last time that a Republican was elected in El Paso was 1963.
Wow.
That's the year before I was born.
Okay.
And he was voted out in 1965. So since 1965, El Paso has voted Democrat straight across the board. Now, there was a difference in the Democrats in 1965 than the Democrats today.
Today, right. There's a big difference.
A huge difference. And there was a difference with the Republicans, too. You know,
yeah. Oh, yeah.
The different time, different attitude. But that being said, people legacy vote here.
Mm-hmm. They do. You're right.
That happens across the country, unfortunately.
Yeah.
People don't want to look at the candidate that's most qualified. And yes, an election is a popularity contest. I understand that. But because of it being a popularity contest now, has gotten our country into some very serious problems.
Right.
But going back to what we got into with Rick, you know, laying this puzzle out today, you know, that's pretty torqued up, to be honest with you. And I didn't, you know, I basically have shut down, you know, I'm not going to talk to him until I calm down enough to actually talk to him face to face, because I think it's the right thing to do.
Right.
But either way, he needs to either tender his resignation or we'll have to terminate him. It comes down to nothing more than that, because we asked him to remove on Facebook. He puts all these hashtags and tags a lot of businesses and stuff. And then there's these, from what a friend of mine that ran today there was over 30 pages on Facebook alone that had nothing but my campaign stuff.
Over 30? Oh my gosh. That's a lot.
I don't have access to any of those pages.
You don't have access to it. You can't log in. You can't make changes. You can't do anything. He has complete control of it.
There's 4 pages that he created that I had him create to try it. Because my understanding was trying to create like a click funnel. Does that make sense?
Right. Okay.
But I don't know if you can do that on Facebook or not. I just read about it and I thought, well, maybe it works on there too.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, hey, and he said, yeah, it does. No problem. So he made a We're All Americans page, which I'm an editor on. I'm not an admin.
Okay.
I can't do really any, being an editor, there's not a whole lot. You can't shut the page down.
Right.
Well, earlier today, we asked him to shut all these pages down. And that's when things started getting dicey about it.
Yeah, I can imagine.
When a lawyer, not a lawyer, but when a reporter calls you, even if he's a friend,
mm-hmm.
and he's calling you on something like this, it's more than likely it's not a personal call. It's something that needs to happen here, either for, so they called him and said, hey, look, you really need to take these pages down.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, I have the call. And the thing is, I had a recording of the call. So after I got done with talking to the reporter, I get the phone call. I get the voice message from him of the phone call that he had with my campaign manager.
Right.
My campaign manager misrepresented the way that the phone call happened. This guy calls him up and says, hey, he's looking out for my best interest,
mm-hmm.
as well for the campaign, because he doesn't want to see this campaign torque. He doesn't support Aguero. He doesn't support Escobar. He supported me since, I ran last time.
Right.
And we became very good friends over this period of time. So he does look out for my best interest. And he owns he has his own newspaper. The guy's busy.
Mm-hmm.
So we talk a lot on the phone. That's just kind of the way it is.
Right.
But I was being alienated from people that are my friends that actually I know support me.
Right. And usually when somebody tries to alienate you from somebody, it's because they have something to hide or don't want you to learn something.
Correct. But eventually, we both know, I've been around the world long enough, that eventually it'll come out. And there were other people that told me, hey, I don't have a good feeling about this guy. Something's up. Something's wrong.
Right.
Even my daughter and my wife said the same thing. And I'm like, look, he's doing what he's getting paid to do. And on the surface, that's exactly what it looked like.
Right.
But then talking to our mutual friend today, wow.
Right. You learn some things you didn't know.
Not at all. And, one of the people that he said he knew personally and stuff, our mutual friend brought in on the call.
Yeah.
Which was really enlightening, you might say, without putting a whole lot out there.
Right.
Because, yes, Rick got me in, like I said, to 2 12 events where I was in the VIP areas.
Mm-hmm.
Those aren't easy places to get at a Trump rally, that's for sure.
Right.
And he did have a contact with the White House staff that made that happen.
Okay.
Because that's about the only way to do it, I guess.
Yeah. That's, I mean, that's awesome that you got into VIP for sure.
If anybody's going to get, so you do have to have people, and that's the thing. Yeah, he had some really great contacts, but there's some other things that happened because we had a task when I hired him back in August. The goal was, because we know it's going to take like $1.3 million.
Right.
Well, I won't say he knows, but I put this out to him because I did all the analysis on it. I think we talked about this when I was on your show last time.
Yeah, right. You did.
It's going to put somewhere between $1.3 and $1.5 million to to get Escobar out of office.
Right.
You know, I hate saying that, and I hate asking people for money because that's a tough thing to do.
Right.
And being conservative myself, I don't like to come off my wallet either.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Unfortunately, most of us just don't have, $1.5 million laying around somewhere we can just throw in to run for office. So you got to ask everybody else for help. But in that being said, it just seems like that it's been all a facade for a personal type agenda.
Mm.
And I don't know if it's tied in, if somebody from Aguero's camp got him to do this.
Right.
Or they paid him to do this.
Mm-hmm.
But it's speculation at this point, but it's highly possible.
Right.
And it's a plausible thing because that's how dirty politics are.
It is. Now I really briefly got a little bit of information about Turkeygate, and I've already seen that somebody in my chat room has mentioned Turkeygate. I just named it Turkeygate today. But so
I can go through what I did and what happened, and okay, I'm going to go ahead and take responsibility for it because it was my campaign, right?
Right.
That had something to do with it. Now, what I did was based on, I worked for the federal government after I retired from the Army.
Mm-hmm.
And when I decided to run for office, even before I was even on the ballot, had the signatures, anything to even be able to run, they tried to throw the Hatch Act at me because I was getting ready to run for office.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now, granted, the Hatch Act doesn't apply to civilians, giving something to someone in uniform, let's say. But what it does do, the people in uniform, it does, and it's a real touchy area to do. And if you're a candidate, right? Like I have access to Fort Bliss in and out, unlimited access based on my military status. But I can't go on Fort Bliss and hand out business cards.
Right.
As soon as you do that, it makes it a campaign event.
If
I talk about anything political on Fort Bliss,
right,
I violate the directives to those people.
Right.
It's not. I'm putting their job in jeopardy by doing that.
Okay.
If I put it that way, Joe. And you can't. You just don't do that. I learned the hard way, more or less, because I had to go through this and understand the Hatch Act. Because initially, I was going to sue the federal government for terminating my job before I even was running for office.
Right.
But after talking to the attorneys, they said, no, really, in essence, it's a two-way street on the Hatch Act. And I didn't talk to just I talked to attorneys that deal strictly in Hatch Act violations.
Okay.
Because if you're going to do it, get a specialist,
Right.
If you're going to do something, do it right. So that being said, with Anthony and the Border Patrol, I called the Border Patrol, right? And I sent them the links and said, hey, look, this is being planned. I want a readout on it. Are you going to allow them to serve, or would you guys allow them to serve food and bring food into or to a facility?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's related to a campaign, regardless of whether somebody says it's a campaign activity or not.
Right.
If the candidate's involved, it's a campaign activity.
Yeah, you're in that position. You're running for Congress. You've already, it's you can't separate the two at that point.
And here's the other side of the coin that went through my mind. I support the Border Patrol unequivocally. And, they do an excellent job out there. They work their butts off.
Yes, I agree.
And I have friends that are Border Patrol agents as well.
And we have Border Patrol that watch my show. So,
right. But here in El Paso, it's such a big area, and there's a lot of agents here, and they are where you're at in Arizona as well.
Right.
But I don't want to jeopardize their job for a political gain, because the first thing that's going to happen with somebody like Veronica Escobar, she's very seasoned in the political game.
Mm-hmm.
And she already hates the Border Patrol as it is.
Yes, she does.
Right? She's already been beating the crap out of them, saying how cruel they are.
Yeah.
And how mean and nasty, which is far from the truth.
Right. We all know that. We all know the truth.
They're doing what they can do. It's what they got to work with, unfortunately. And it's not their job to babysit people that have been detained. their job is to enforce the law, period.
Mm-hmm.
They turn it over to ICE, and ICE does whatever they do with people that are apprehended. But what I could foresee happening, because if I was in Veronica's position, I'd do the same thing. And I think anybody that would be running for office against a conservative here in El Paso would do exactly the same thing, trying to pull those emotional strings and go after the Border Patrol based on them receiving stuff from the public or from a candidate.
Right.
That was my biggest concern.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Right. That's fair. That's fair. I mean, that's a legitimate concern.
All over Facebook. That is what my thought process was in this whole thing. Now, somebody else actually called the health department, and I got the copy. They told me they called.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And okay, great, because I'm not a food handler, but they started going through the stuff that was in the video.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, we could have run into some problems. You make a bunch of Border Patrol agents sick too. Now they're out of work, and now nobody's guarding the border.
Right. Right.
Just saying.
And the average person is not going to, when you're watching them do this, the average person isn't going to know that, they're not doing this or they're doing this, it's going to take somebody that
it was here or there.
Yeah.
Because this person called the El Paso County Health Department.
Mm-hmm.
They had no jurisdiction because it was being done, the preparation was being done in New Mexico. So I turned around and I asked my campaign manager, hey, this is what's going on. Hey, why don't you call Doniana Health Department?
Mm-hmm.
It's exactly the way this went down.
Okay.
Okay, so he called the Doniana Health Department, and of course they went out there and told him they can't serve them based on the video.
Right.
Okay. Now, it wasn't to sabotage anybody's event.
Right.
It really wasn't. It was to protect our Border Patrol from getting their ass handed to them by Escobar, because that's what will happen.
Right.
It would happen, and it still can happen because, my understanding now is that Walmart has replaced those turkeys, which is great. You want to help people, that's fine. I got it.
Right.
But be careful when you do this.
You still have to do it the right way. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if I was going to do this, and the reason I don't do these things like this to prepare is because I don't know all the rules that apply.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So when you do something like this, and you're going to do this, a mass feeding of people, there needs to be some type of, get a professional to do it if you really want to do it and do it right.
Mm-hmm.
Bottom line,
mm-hmm.
Get people that know what they're doing and keep it safe. Because God knows what could happen if food poisoning spread through.
Right.
Or whatever contaminations could have been there. Because, I've heard of all kinds of different stuff, and especially dealing with birds.
Oh, yes, exactly. I remember growing up as a kid, my mom always told me you have to, handle poultry specifically a certain way. So you're right there in that sense.
That's all I remember too, being told that. I don't handle much food around my house either because my wife won't let me.
And even though the two of you are both running for Congress and, running against Veronica, it still wouldn't be good if Veronica came for either of you or Border Patrol, for doing that. You know what I'm saying? So,
right.
Yeah. And she would, because she's dirty like that.
She is. This game is not clean by any stretch of the imagination. There are a set of rules that you have to play by.
Right.
Okay. The rules are pretty loose. You can be pretty dirty when it comes to dealing with the other candidate. Candidate.
Right.
Because we see it all the time. We see it right now with even the Democrat debates. We saw it in 2016 with the Republican debates. This is how this game, and it is a game to get elected. Whether anybody wants to admit it or not, you are playing a game of chess, and you're playing a game of position. So you're going to do everything you can to undermine the other person's campaign. It's a fight. It's a war. So that's what you do. But when people go back on their word, that kind of set me on fire.
Right.
Because I came from what I would consider a really honorable type business, being in the military. where we always, even if we didn't like each other, we had each other's back until that person became what we call a blue falcon. Kind of like Lieutenant Colonel Vindman, but, because that guy definitely needs to be prosecuted under Article 88 of the UCMJ. But, this whole thing, and the thing was, there's only 3 people that knew about the phone calls and stuff that were made.
Right.
And by 8 or 9 o'clock that night, the night that I put the post up about the Hatch Act, right?
Mm-hmm.
People were all over that page.
Right.
And I mean, there were some pretty obnoxious and nasty remarks on there. And some of them were threatening. I look at it, I know this is going to happen. I know this is how it works. I had the same thing happen. Being a leader in the military, you get the same thing. It's just the nature of the beast and the way people are.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, when the person that has more popularity starts putting things out that are way off base, about the other candidate that aren't provable, that's, I think, when you cross the line. If you don't have documentation, you shouldn't be putting it out there about somebody.
Right, exactly.
There's the thing, that came out. I don't know if you saw it. I know our mutual friend did that I'm a, what they say, psychotropical drug abuser.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. Now, for the record, and I don't care. I have PTSD, just like every other soldier.
Right.
Even in the war,
ex-military
has some form of PTSD.
Right. And that's normal.
Yeah, it is. It's
considering
normal.
what you did.
So, they treat us for it.
Mm-hmm.
It's considered a disability through VA. It's a real deal.
You're doing the right thing by being treated, right?
Well, it does. The whole thing about being treated. I take Zoloft, and that's where it's at, and so everybody knows. Not afraid of saying that.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with it. I mean,
well, I got 95 months of combat time. I mean, how crazy is that? I've seen a lot of crap.
Right.
So let's be real. I've seen some pretty traumatic things.
Yes.
So they treat me to keep that, for that, because it creates anxiety, hypervigilance. There's a lot of things that people don't understand about being in combat unless they've actually been there.
Right. I agree.
And that's a bad thing as running, because they're using a term to make it sound something really bad when all it is an SSRI uptake rebuker.
Mm-hmm.
Is what they're on Zoloft is what it is.
Right.
So what it does is it slows the chemical reactions in your brain down, so you're not your fuse gets longer. Because you don't want a short fuse,
Right.
And Rick has pushed my buttons far enough that even with that, I had to go on him not too long ago. I went full senior NCO on him on something.
Mm-hmm.
And as we were driving down the road, which is probably not the way you should go off on somebody, but it is what it is.
It happened.
We all are human, and it's going to happen, and I understand that.
Right.
And I think everybody should understand that. Because I get called boomer all the year. I'm just a boomer. I was born the last year of the baby boomers. But I'm really seeing how dirty it's getting here in El Paso. And yes, I play dirty as well when it comes to, but play dirty with facts, not with conjecture.
So Sam, somebody in the chat room is asking a question. He wants to know, Sam, why did you switch from independent to Republican after Anthony filed as Republican?
Do you want to split the Republican ticket, the conservative vote in El Paso? Because that's what happened, and we can't afford. By Anthony announcing like that, he knew that he would split the ticket. So what I'm thinking is that when Anthony announced that, and this is just my thinking, it's not facts, but it's conjecture.
Mm-hmm.
Because Texas law says that if you're a convicted felon, which Anthony is, you can't run for county, state, or municipal government, right?
Right.
But there's nothing in the Constitution that says that a convicted felon cannot run for federal office.
Okay.
But if you were going to upset an election here against Escobar, because I ran against her last time, if you wanted to upset the conservative vote and keep a Democrat in office, what would you do? Run as a third-party candidate.
Right. Right.
That was my reasoning behind. My voting record shows that I vote Republican.
Okay.
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 It's there. It's pretty obvious on my stances that I am a Republican.
Right.
I've been called a flip-flopper. Well, I really didn't flip-flop. I understood the fact that we have a very deep blue problem here in El Paso. And how do we approach that deep blue issue?
Right.
And this is exactly why I went back, was because he decided he was going to run. Now we're going to split the ticket. I was already registered to run way before Anthony even got on the dot, tried to file his FEC report. So you can go out there and look. It's all on the FEC.gov website.
Now, is there a way that people can see voting history for like you or Anthony or any other candidates?
Not exactly. It's very, there's some software out there. The Democrats use a system that's called VAN, right? Which pulls all the voting data, and it's an expensive piece of software. And if you're a conservative or Republican, forget it. You're not going to get it. And it won't tell you who they voted for, but it does tell you exactly, which way they tend to lean.
Okay.
And how they have voted in the past.
Okay.
If they vote in a primary, that's what gives it away.
Okay. All right.
If they don't vote in a primary, you can't really tell you can't tell which party they voted for. But if they vote in the primary, you definitely can. Now, the thing is, the way I looked at it with Anthony, and I'm gonna put this out there too. Here's the deal. He voted once in his life. I can actually see this data, but it's not, I'm not going to publish it because it's not the right thing to do.
Right. Well, and, some things are, when you're running for public office, yes, everybody wants to know everything about you, but some things are not the public's business as far as I'm concerned,
Well, no, and I agree with you, but if somebody only voted one time in their life,
right.
Why is that?
Right.
Once, and if you go back to the, for lack of a better word, the criminal record and look, the problem is he couldn't vote.
Right.
He was either on probation or in prison.
Ding, ding. Right.
Now, he voted, the last time he voted in 2012. Well, in 2012, he was working with the Democrats. So I'm not the flip-flopper.
Right.
I'm not a snowflake by any stretch of the imagination.
Oh, I know that. You don't have to tell me that twice.
I know you've interviewed me before.
Right.
So because I went after him, that makes me the bad guy.
Yeah.
Because he became an opponent.
Because and you're simply following the rules, as well.
Well, I tend to think I try to play within the rules and try to stay within the law. I mean, come on, it's not that hard.
So, and everybody watching my show can look up the Hatch Act and verify what you're saying is legit.
My explanation is the Hatch Act, like I said, the Hatch Act doesn't apply to the person that gives them the food. It can be applied to the individual that accepts it.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
And that was the whole point of my post that I put up originally. Think about this before you put them in jeopardy of losing their job, because we have this witch out there, Escobar, that hates our border patrol. She hates our military. For that matter, it's just like you want to help homeless vets, don't give them a handout. Give them a hand up.
Yeah. Right.
I have a plan, and I don't release a lot of my stuff because I learned last time that if you put your policy stuff out too early, your opponents are going to steal it. Just the way it is. It's all part of the game, right? So, but there's a very easy way to settle a lot of the homeless vet issue, believe it or not. And here in El Paso, it's actually really easy to solve. But I don't want to divulge the details of it. But it's actually really easy. And then talk to a lot of the vets that are on the street, or a lot of homeless people in general, because I've done this. A lot of these people just don't want any rules. They want to be out there. They don't care about if you give. They want you to give them stuff because you're enabling them to stay on the street.
Right. Right. I agree with you on that.
So you have to kind of look at that. Yeah, you look like you're helping the community, but in essence, you're enabling a problem.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
This is what's happened in most of your liberal cities because that's what they do. They enable people to be homeless.
Right. Yes.
Like in San Francisco, like in Austin.
Mm-hmm.
Luckily, Governor Abbott has gotten, stepped up to the plate on that one in Austin to try and clean it up because the city wouldn't do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then being out here in El Paso, we're so far removed from the rest of the state, right?
Yes. Yes.
It's been forgotten about for so many years. And the political, I don't know how I want to word this, but the politics out here have gotten so corrupt because it's so far removed. It's too much work to send somebody over here and try to fix the problem. Mm-hmm. Even during the 2018 elections, there were so many anomalies that we saw during early voting that I was able to get enough people to sign a petition so we could bring inspectors out here for the general election. Because it was a necessary thing when we had people, some of the election people working at the polls that were taking curbside ballots and opening them that were in the envelopes. They're in the envelope. They'd open the envelope up and look and see how somebody voted.
Yeah, yeah.
So how do we know that vote even got through, or if it was opposed to that particular party that person worked with? Did that vote ever get counted?
Right.
That's why I did that. I mean, I've gone after the city manager, a lot of things because of what's happening and the way I see the city being run. And there's a lot of things that can be done from the federal level to fix the corruption. We've got corruption all through our government. That's what goes without saying. Had Donald Trump not been elected, we wouldn't see half these turds floating in the toilet right now.
Tell us how it is. That's right. Well,
that's why, is Donald Trump the cleanest guy in the world? No.
Right.
Not at all. He was top of the business food chain by being a nice guy all the time. There's obviously going to be skeletons in the closet. We got it, And I think the American people understand that as well.
Right.
When you go to one of his rallies, I don't know if you've ever been to one.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, man, they're phenomenal. I mean, the energy that is in those rallies is just unreal.
It is. I totally agree.
It will fire you up.
I can't wait till he's back in Arizona. You have no idea.
But, love or hate the president. He is the president of the United States. And yes. I believe that anybody in that office, I had to work, I told you this before, my time in the military, I was under 5 different presidents. Mm-hmm. I didn't like all of them, but I still had to execute their policies.
Yes, right.
And I think that's part of the problem now. Whoever's in the Oval Office, we need to support them as much as we can for what they're doing.
Right, I agree.
Especially when the country is on the right track that it's on now.
Yes.
Our economic prosperity has gone up immensely, except here in El Paso. Because we're more worried about, the city here is more worried about building hotels and, bringing Great Wolf Lodge in and things like that. We'll build some more service jobs that create no wealth. Mm-hmm. Ridiculous concept on how to build a city or maintain a city, because our infrastructure in El Paso is just trash.
Yeah. So I've heard that before. So all in 1 week, you've been having problems with your campaign manager, and then you have Turkeygate. So what's next? What's next on the agenda for you then after getting through this week?
You gotta take it one day at a time.
Yeah.
It's even run through my mind, and somebody talked me out of this today. Our mutual friend, as a matter of fact, mm-hmm. and the other person that was in the conference call with me earlier.
Uh-huh.
Because I had actually it started running through my mind to actually just not run.
Mm-hmm.
But they're like, look, you can't stop. You've got the right ideas. You've got the right plan. You have actual platforms out there that make sense.
Right. And I know somebody in my chat room asked, well, what is it what's your platform? And so I told them, to make sure they go to your website and check that out, because you have it listed, you have it detailed.
Yeah, everything's on the website. Somebody made a comment about that the other day. Well, it's not all over social media.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's not, because there's too much there.
Yeah.
And people only read a very small amount. Most people read headlines as it is. But they don't want to listen to the facts of an issue. And that goes back to Turkeygate, as we have named it, as you have so dubbed it.
Yes.
I wasn't looking to hurt anybody, to hurt the Border Patrol. I wasn't even trying to sabotage anything. I wanted to protect our Border Patrol agents from taking a chance on losing their jobs over a plate of food.
Right.
Let's be real here, because this is how Escobar is, and this is what can happen. And I called the Border Patrol to ask them, hey, are you going to allow these people to come into your facilities or go to your facilities and deliver food? And they're like, no, they can't.
Right.
There's a lot of things that I see that, being a rock star is great. I don't want to be a rock star. I want to go up and do the job that's necessary and and people need access, I think, to their representation, because we don't get that anymore.
Right.
And that's one of the things that I've been pushed away from with my current with the campaign manager I have, is he alienate, you're the star. No, I'm not a star. I'm not nobility.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a regular person, just like everybody else. I'm retired military. I had 29 years, 8 months, 16 days. Somebody said, why didn't you do 30 years? Well, sometimes you just get pissed off and you got to quit.
Right.
You just get tired.
Yeah.
Sometimes
you just need something new, in life.
Yeah, and I was 48 years old when I retired. I was an old man for being in the military.
Right.
You take most of your state brigade commanders, full-blood colonels. They're in their early 40s. Mm-hmm. They're not that old. I mean, look at it, but they're not, because they've had a rough life there.
Yeah, stress can wear you down and make you.
Most of us that have been in the military are in better shape than our peers at the same age. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But, the thing is, when you're the oldest guy in a brigade, that's a pretty bad thing.
So yeah. So a couple of the people in my chat keep wanting to confirm that you do support Trump, correct?
Absolutely.
Yes. Okay. So there's your answer, guys. Yes, he does support Trump.
It's just like I said. He is the president of the United States, and he deserves the respect that comes with the office. Mm-hmm. You don't have to respect the man, but you got to respect that office.
Yep.
I support what he's doing because we've come a long way.
He's not an occupant, as they like to call him.
Exactly. I mean,
he is the president.
He lays in the bed at night at 2:00 in the morning Eastern time, and it's tweeting. He doesn't stop working, and that's pretty impressive for a man of his age. If you think about it.
Oh yes, I think about that all the time.
I don't know how he does it.
Kicking back and playing golf every single day, and he's busting his butt for this country just to get, people chewing at him every day,
Right. And I mean, because he has done such a good job, everything he does, you hear this line, well, Obama started it. No, Obama didn't start it. Obama had people, Obama created more problems for this country than any other president that I can think of, because he made us weaker on the world stage.
He did. He absolutely did.
Why do you go to Japan and apologize to them for kicking their butt in World War II?
Mm-hmm.
It makes no sense to me whatsoever. We won. Oh, well, your loss, our gain.
Right.
And then we rebuilt Japan. So why are we apologizing for anything? We rebuilt Germany.
Mm-hmm.
And all these countries crap on us as it is. We're the only country in the world, you think about it, that can't enforce their borders.
Right.
If we do anything on our border right now, we're wrong. And it doesn't have to do with this UN migration pact or anything else. It has to do with people that we have in office right now. Because they don't care. They're only looking to improve their own personal agendas. You know, and everybody's got a personal agenda out there, you know, regardless of who it is.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm a straight, you've talked to me before, I'm a straight shooter. If you don't like what I got to say, well, that's the way you don't like it.
Mm-hmm.
That's your right, that's my right.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah. So the whole thing that I have right now, you know, you get people, it just amazes me the comments that I was getting without the whole facts. You know, I got the guy saying I drink a bottle of whiskey a day. You know, I can't afford it for one thing.
Right? That's a lot of money.
Yeah, there's a difference actually doing it and maybe wanting to do it. But no, I very seldomly drink anymore because my stomach's so messed up I couldn't do it anyway. You know, it's social and very rare. You know, if we have a barbecue here at the house or something like that, never go out of the house and do it, or try not to, and definitely not get in a car afterwards.
Right.
Because I had to rake too many soldiers over the coal for doing the same thing. And then it kind of makes you a hypocrite. And I kind of feel like a hypocrite now knowing what I saw on the record of my previous campaign manager now.
Mm-hmm.
For going after Anthony and allowing him to go after Anthony without knowing this guy's record, that there's 2 open warrants on him right now.
On your campaign manager that you just found out, right?
Yeah, I don't know if the other our mutual friend sent it to you or not.
No, not yet.
There is 2 open. They're traffic warrants,
mm-hmm.
but they're still warrants, and
they're still
from
warrants.
2017.
Right.
That's way too long to let something, you know, fester out there that
way. Just go, yeah. And when you're representing somebody who's running for public office, you can't have a background like that. You know, I mean, well, you can, but you shouldn't. You know.
You should come clean about it.
Mm-hmm.
You should be upfront.
Right. And you asked him all those questions, and he said he was clean as a whistle.
I said, is there anything in your background that I'd find that would,
mm-hmm.
you know, actually set me on fire?
Concern. Yes.
I try to be as transparent as possible. You know, you go into my FEC report, I list everybody on there that's donated.
Right.
Everybody that I have full data on gets listed.
Right.
Because what I found out, and we quit using it on purpose, was like because of PayPal, you don't get all the compliance data that you need.
Right.
So we pretty much stopped using it. Because once somebody hits a $200 threshold of donations to you,
mm-hmm.
you have to have everything.
Right.
You can't just put it in as PayPal or WinRed or anything like that. There's an aggregation that's in there. You know, and Anthony files an FEC report with all zeros on it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the thing is, what people don't realize is there's in-kind contributions as well, and they still count.
They still count, yes.
And even with this Border Patrol thing that he's doing right now and saying that it's not a campaign event. The thing is, if those turkeys he got from Walmart actually have to report it as a campaign, as an in-kind donation.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think people really have read the ethics book that you get that the House sends you.
Right.
And how to do this, because we see so many problems in the system right now with people doing the wrong thing with the contributions they can get. You know, even if you own another business and they're donating it to that business, you're a candidate. And if any money, or you put a T-shirt on, you put a hat on that says anything to do with the campaign, guess what? You got to count it.
You got to count it. Yep. You got to cover your rear end.
and that's the thing. And you go to the FEC, and on the 24th of October, he submitted a report with all zeros on it.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't meet the $5,000 threshold, you don't file. It says right there, you don't have to.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So, you know, a red flag there would be a zero FEC report is ridiculous.
Right.
But, you know, the whole thing with Turkeygate, yeah, I'll take responsibility for it. But in the end, did we actually probably keep some people from getting sick? It's a good possibility, or even dying from eating that and getting sick because we
Right.
just don't know.
Yeah, there's no way to know, right?
And I'm not justifying that it ruined an event that he planned for a month.
Mm-hmm.
Because he did. You know, I don't pay that much attention to him. You hear him out there, oh, I live in this guy's mind rent free. No, Anthony, you don't. Unfortunately, you don't.
Right.
You know, the only reason that I dropped the hammer on you like I have been is because you were not honest with me.
Right.
I haven't done it. There's 2 more people running on the GOP ticket.
Oh, I didn't even know.
I have absolutely not done anything to attack them. Nothing.
Right.
You know why? Because they didn't go back on their word. They're running on their word, and I've talked to both of them.
Right.
One of them's very young, and I think that might be a problem for him. And the other person, she's very well spoken. You know,
Uh-huh.
and you got to give people their props where it's at. You know, I was sick last Saturday at a Republican women's thing, and somewhere along the line, somebody come out that it smelled like a bar. Well, I was sitting between a judge and a very, very conservative older woman.
Mm-hmm.
I think if I smelled like a bar, I'm sure the judge would have said something to me.
Right.
I know her, and she's tough. She's a good lady, but she's tough.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure that the older lady would have just gotten up and left.
Right.
You know, before you make a comment or say something like that about somebody, make sure that you're right on, because that's conjecture. And that's also, I guess, could be considered like slander at the same time because you're accusing them of something that they didn't do.
Right.
Now, being that I'm running for Congress, whatever, it is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Take your lump and move on.
Absolutely. Well,
but I try to be honest with everybody as about anything and everything. You asked me a question, I answered. I went to New Mexico State University last night and talked on the First Amendment with the Turning Point USA chapter.
Uh-huh.
I was their first guest speaker ever. And we went in, I gave a short, my thought type speech. And then we went straight into a Q&A so they could actually see where I stand. And I think that's what where a lot of us go wrong too. Don't tell people what to think. See what they think.
Right.
That's just my philosophy because it works a lot better sometimes.
For sure.
But,
well,
I just want to get the facts out there and let people know that these things are happening. And now we're going to have to go through and we're trying to figure out how to get all these pages down. Because if I can't access a page to change something or correct something, then that page doesn't need to exist. And
then it needs to be removed off of Facebook. And
right. And I would ask, since I can't remove them myself because I tried.
Yeah.
I'll just for your listeners, I'm going to pull this up and I'm going to ask that they ask for me.
Yes.
Get these pages down.
Yes.
This is not something to help me. It's not something, but it's something that needs to happen. And because I can't physically do it, the only way to do it is to get Facebook to do it.
To get people to report the pages, not really you, basically.
Right.
Yeah.
So we're going to go with, the first one we'll hit is it says LGBTQ Texas conservatives.
Okay, LGBTQ.
Okay. I don't have anything against gay people, by the way. That's your lifestyle is your lifestyle.
Right.
It's not mine, but if it's yours, then it's part of your First Amendment, and I'll get we just get over it.
Mm-hmm.
The next one would be, I'm trying to pull them up now. I'm not very good at this. All right, we are all Americans.
Okay.
The next one would be Texas gun owners.
Texas gun owners?
Yes.
Okay.
And Texas, or it's TX-EDU.
EDU, like education?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And I'm not I'm we've already been over it. Politics is dirty and it's going to get nasty, but these pages need to come down and I cannot access these pages myself.
Okay. Well,
I am on those particular 4 pages, right?
Right.
4 pages. I am an editor on those pages.
Okay.
I'll let everybody know that.
Okay.
But I don't spend a lot of time on Facebook.
Okay.
I try not to.
Right.
Because I don't like Facebook. What I've noticed the difference between Twitter and Facebook, there's a whole different type of people on Twitter and there's a whole different type of people on Facebook.
Right.
And the people on Facebook can be pretty obnoxious, unfortunately.
Yes, they can.
And
I agree.
Yeah, and knowing that I can't block anybody legally, at least have some common courtesy. I go through and I block a lot of words because they shouldn't be out there like that anyway.
Yeah.
And then somebody will put a $sign in it or something like that so they can get their word out. And now I got to go add all that in somehow.
Well, I will put my people to work on this and see if we can get those pulled down, or at least help you a little bit in that.
Yeah. And there was, like I said, there is, from what I was told today, there's over 30 other pages out there, and I have no idea what they are. I don't even know how to find them.
Oh, dear Jesus. That's going to be a task.
Anybody
So you have to deal with Facebook, Turkeygate, and your campaign manager. Oh my God.
If it's not on my personal page, on my campaign page,
Yeah.
El Paso Grassroots.
Okay.
Right? Those are the 3 that I have full control over.
Okay.
Those are the only official pages that have anything to do with my campaign.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll get to work on that. We're
I won't sanction the 4 pages I gave you, but they're not. It's all that tagging and stuff. And from everything that I've read about Facebook, especially hashtags, really doesn't do you any good. I don't know, but everything that I've read.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Well, me and that person that we know that we talked to earlier, we got a ways. We'll work on that.
Well, I appreciate you giving me the platform to be able to.
Yeah. You're always welcome here. You're always welcome here, and you have my number now. This is actually you're one of the few people that have my real telephone number. So if you ever have something that you want to come on the show and talk about, you can always just call me and we'll work that out. All right.
And that's the thing. I do got to get out there in front of people. People got to understand that to beat Escobar, it is going to take an immense amount of money, and I hate to say that.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, because I don't think it should be this way. But the 2-party system has made it that way. Right. It's not, if you look across the board, this is, I'll final out with this. If you look across the country, 99% of the winning candidates was the person that raised the most money.
Yes, this is
so
true.
Why is that?
This is true.
The Republican Party doesn't support anybody until after a primary.
Yes.
The RNC, the RNC, your local parties, they will not help fund anything for a candidate prior to the primary.
Right.
At least they're not supposed to, according to what I've read on the party's stances.
Mm-hmm.
But I hope this sure catches fire. They can visit. You already put out the web page. I'm going to post a copy of my DD-214 tonight.
Okay.
You can see that now. It is redacted. There's some things on there that don't need to be out there.
Right.
And some of it has to do with operational stuff, deployments and things like that I really don't think that need to be released.
Right.
Because based on MOSs and things that were listed on my DD-214, I don't think people need to know that.
Right. I agree. The world doesn't need to know everything. Yeah.
But I'm gonna. I don't have your email. If you send it to me
I'll-
via text.
I'll text it to
email
you.
it to you.
Yeah.
So people can see that I'm not, full of crap on this.
Right. And then I will actually text you the link to this live stream so that you can share it around and whatnot and do with what you want.
Absolutely.
All right. So, hey, thanks so much for being on the show tonight. It's always
Thank you for getting home and doing it.
it's always a great time talking to
I
you.
was new puppy in when we were talking to you, 2 hours ago, 3
Yeah.
hours ago.
So I'm always.
You didn't have my phone number yet. I did your show before.
Yeah. Isn't that funny that you didn't have my phone number, but you've been on the show before? I wonder how that worked out.
Well, I know who got me there.
I know how that happened, huh?
The information today.
All right. Well, you have a good night.
Thank you very much for the opportunity,
Mhm.
as always.
Yeah, and you call me if you need anything, okay?
Yeah, and let's make sure that these people that are ruining our country right now don't get reelected. And that's across the country.
Yes, I agree.
People remember that every one of these congressional elections, every Senate election affects them, regardless of what state or what district or they live in.
Mm-hmm.
The federal elections affect them because those people are up there making decisions for the country.
Yes, absolutely. All right, then.
Well, I'll let you go to sleep because it's getting late.
All right, you take care.
It's time to go to bed.
All right, I'm sure I'll talk to you again.
All right, thank you very much, Laura.
All right, take care.
All right,
Bye-bye. All right. So I know that was a long phone call, but it's always a good time talking to Sam. He's a good guy. He is a Trump supporter, and woo, am I getting shiny or what? I've been on the show. I've been live for like an hour, and I'm like all sorts of shiny. You're like, Laura, you're all greasy. God. Yes, I keep that on my desk. Isn't that funny? So I know that you guys were asking a lot of questions in the chat room, and I tried to, cut in and ask some questions as we went. So first, I know some of you that came in late were like, what's going on? So Sam Williams is running for Congress in Texas. He's trying to unseat Veronica Escobar. And I know that some of the people that watch my show do support another candidate, Anthony. Anthony has, though I haven't interviewed him on my show, I've had his footage on my show many times. And that was always with his permission. He said that I could. I talked to him, I think it was like a year ago when the whole caravan thing first started. I got his telephone number from somebody. I sent him a text. I'm like, hey, Anthony, blah, 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 blah. This is me. Can I share your footage? And he's like, yeah. And because he's allowed me to share his footage in the past, at those times, I did actually send donations to his channel for his work. And I think I have been honest about that since the beginning. I haven't put any of his footage on my show or on my channel in recent times, like in the last couple months, I'd say, since summer, I think, when he started to run for Congress, I think is when. I haven't, because he hasn't really been covering the border. He was one of my connections to the border when I lived in Illinois. But he has been so focused on, his congressional run that he hasn't really been doing videos where he's been, catching people crossing the border. So I do not have a beef with Anthony. I don't want anybody to get that in their head. It is possible to show support to many people. Sam has been on my show before. I think he's a good guy. I think he's an honest guy. He is ex-military. He is a Trump supporter. He is registered now as running as a Republican. And he's just an all-around good guy. I can tell when somebody's bullshitting me, and I do not get that feeling when I talk to Sam. So I like him a lot. And you know what? If I was in Texas, I probably would be helping the guy out. But I live in Arizona, so all I can do is help from afar. And so I wanted to bring him on tonight and tell you about all the things, or at least help you guys understand what goes on in the background that you guys don't see. You just see the candidate that's running. You don't get to know the whole, they should have like a reality show of what's going on, really. So it looks like his campaign manager is no more. That's like the first time I think somebody's been unofficially fired on my show. Just like Donald Trump. You're fired. But, you know, it's pretty shady when you try to alienate the candidate you're working for from other people that could be helping him. Usually when somebody tries to alienate you, it's because they're trying to hide something. They don't want that person to find something out, right? Then Sam finds out that he has, you know, a background, okay? Two, I think it was traffic warrants, I guess is what he said. This person appears to be working for him. I mean, he goes through, you know, he's got him in twice to be as VIP to Trump rallies, which is great, but it's the things that are supposed to be happening are not happening. So unfortunately, it sounds like he's going to be in the market for a new campaign manager. I don't know, or if he's just going to do it himself or what he's going to do. But, and then Turkeygate. Okay, I know some of you guys were in there, you know, talking about the turkeys and whatnot, and I knew that was going to happen. And some of you are going to be like, Laura, you know, Anthony was trying to do a good thing, blah, 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 blah. I know, but I also know there are rules. Okay, there are rules. I have not yet seen the video. I've only heard about the turkey video. I understand Anthony or anybody trying to help Border Patrol and wanting to feed Border Patrol. I'll straight up, I support Border Patrol. Border Patrol watches my show, okay? For the longest time on Facebook, my background photo was supporting Border Patrol. Shoot, I would want to help feed Border Patrol, okay? But I also know that as somebody in that position, when you're running for a public office, you have to be careful with what you do. And from what I understand, you know, the way they were handling the turkeys may not have been the right way. I don't know. I haven't seen the video yet. I'm gonna go watch it. But regardless, I can understand both sides. That's something about me. I try and look at everything. Like, I work in the animal world, okay? Dogs specifically. I understand breeders. I understand working for a vet. I understand, you know, working in a pet store. I understand rescue. You know, I look at it from all angles and see what each person sees from every angle. So that's my job. All right. So enough about that. Good times. I know I'll talk to him again. But you guys, let's talk about the Mexican drive-thru. This is going to be like a long live stream. Mr. Atomic I don't even think he's been in the room. He's so tired tonight. Let's talk about the Mexican drive-thru because I know that's what you guys are waiting for. Let's go find the Mexican drive-thru. I'm not shitting you when I tell you this, okay? Here it is. All right. So this is from the Daily Mail, and this is an article posted on November 22nd, 2019 at 9:58 a.m., okay? Mexican drive-thru. Human traffickers cut huge hole in border fence and drive a truck full of illegal immigrants into America. Yep. You guys ready to see the picture? All right. Let's see. See that big hole right there in the middle? Mm-hmm. Now, when you look at this is not our big, beautiful border wall. That's not it, okay? This is that old stuff from like World War whatever. I don't know. I forget where they get it. It's that really old, rusty metal. It's really cheesy, falling apart, rusting, has holes in it. And then they just have the barbed wire rolls at the top, okay? So they did not cut through our beautiful new wall. No. Okay. It's the old stuff that Donald Trump has been trying to replace as well as build new wall. So the article goes on to say smugglers cut through a border wall, which was made of soft landing mats, and drove their stolen truck through the resulting hole. U.S. border agents launched a manhunt and found the truck driver trying to force open a gate with bolt cutters nearby. The driver tried to escape, but he and his 15 passengers were seized after a short pursuit and taken into custody on Wednesday. Okay. So that was just this week. The group included 14 Mexican nationals aged between 15 and 53, as well as a Guatemalan man and woman aged 28 and 29. There were 9 men and 5 women among the Mexican cohort, the Customs and Border Protection Agency revealed. The stolen utility truck, a white Dodge 500 vehicle, was also seized by the U.S. Border Patrol. A seized white Dodge truck. Do you guys remember? Like, if you've been with me for a long time and you watch my live streams, you know my dad's truck, a white Dodge truck, was stolen. Okay, I'm not saying that this is the same truck because it's not. But this is what they do. It was stolen from here in Phoenix from the parking lot where my dad worked. Okay, he's retired. He was working at Lowe's. He used to build barbecues. You know, he's retired. He just, you know, he did his thing, you know, and just made some bucks, got insurance, you know, it's good. Kept him busy. They stole his truck. And you know what they steal these trucks for? To get people across the border. They drive these trucks through the desert, you guys. Through the desert. They trash them. They run them through the desert, in the middle of nowhere desert, okay? In the dark, through the tumbleweed, through the rocks, through the mountains, trash the truck, transport the people, dump it in the middle of the desert. Yep. Okay. And here's a prime example of what they do. Okay. They just transported a whole bunch of people in a white Dodge truck that's stolen. Don't buy a white Dodge truck if you live in Phoenix Metro. It's going to get stolen. Okay, there are rings of people that steal these cars and take them down to the border to do this, all right? They found my dad's truck in the middle of the desert. He had to go down there south of Tucson, middle of nowhere, identify the truck, and it was totaled, all right? Just so they could bring illegals over the border. And they had, you know, evidence in the truck. They had a backpack. They had rolls of toilet paper because, you know, they've got to pee in the desert and whatever. And evidence that showed that's what it was, basically. So officials said a transitional criminal organization had targeted the old border wall in a brazen smuggling attempt. U.S. agents discovered it on Wednesday afternoon after they spotted the hole in the border fence near the town of Campo on the U.S. side. Within 15 minutes, the truck driver had been spotted trying to get inside a private home. Yes, because that's what they do. Agents observed an adult male with bolt cutters attempting to cut a lock on a local resident's private gate with a truck matching the description of the suspect's vehicle. And agents activated their emergency lights and siren to stop the suspect vehicle, but the driver refused to yield and fled. After a short pursuit, the truck stopped and the driver and passengers fled. So they got out, they ran, okay? Scattered like bugs. Agents tracked down the subjects and arrested the driver and 15 passengers. Yay, they caught them. All 16 admitted to entering the U.S. illegally and were transported to a nearby Border Patrol station for processing. Douglas Harrison, the chief agent for San Diego, because this was in California. I didn't say that. This took place in California, more towards the eastern side of the border, closer to Arizona, okay? Douglas Harrison paid tribute to our agents' steadfast vigilance after illegal immigrants were arrested. The vehicle drive-through with overloaded and unsecured passengers, particularly in this terrain, can certainly result in a rollover accident with serious injuries and death. Like I've told you before, migrants don't make good decisions. Well, they don't make good decisions in white Dodge trucks either, okay? The breach of this old landing mat wall is illustrative, of the need for more hardened infrastructure with greater capabilities to help secure the area. So basically what they're saying is this old landing mats that they use and they have used for decades are garbage and don't do squat, okay? So yes, they do need to be replaced. Yes, we do need the new big, beautiful border wall put in there and replaced into those areas. This was in Southern California, okay? This doesn't just happen in Arizona, it happens in all the border states. So that, my lovelies, is the Mexican drive-thru that I promised you in the title of this video. If you have not yet hit like, make sure you hit the like button. And I want to say thank you to Nora ×2 for your super chats and Govinda for your super chat. Thank you so much for supporting my channel. I'm sorry that I couldn't do that while we had Sam here, but I did promise that I would go back and acknowledge anybody that did, super chat. If you still want to super chat, you're feeling frisky, you can. It'll light up to me. You can put in a comment or a question, and I'll read it off to everybody. So there are a couple other articles that I promised you guys. Let me go to them. FEMA, that was the big one. FEMA. FEMA is helping give money to the churches in Arizona for assisting migrant families. All right, that's right. Here we go. The AZ Mirror, which that particular publication I don't usually read. I'll tell you that. But this happens to be a topic that is near and dear to my heart. And I do not believe we should be having to deal with in Arizona or any of the border states for that matter. So I'm going to give you some info about this, all right? So Pima County and 13 state nonprofits and faith organizations were awarded more than $700,000 in federal funds to reimburse part of their work of assisting thousands of migrants, okay, fathers, mothers, and children who were released by border and immigration officials earlier this year, according to the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA. Okay. So in other words, they're paying them money for handling all the illegals that funneled into our state. Okay. You guys know about the churches. That's a big thing. Okay. AZ Patriots and Patriot Movement AZ, they kind of blew the lid off of that and let everybody out here know exactly what's happening with those churches. They called them out. They were, on bullhorns. They were, getting the video of all the buses, okay, the ICE buses that were dropping migrants off daily to 30-something churches throughout the Phoenix metro area, okay? And nobody knew this was really happening until they brought it up, until they brought the footage. And they were all kind enough to let me use that footage here on my channel so I could educate and show you guys what was really happening here. We could say it till we're blue in the face, but until you can see the proof, you're not going to believe it. Well, we brought you the proof. A little teamwork there. So the border aid bill allocated $30 million to FEMA to distribute among communities that experience the influx of migrant families. According to FEMA, $25 million would be distributed among government entities and groups in the 4 border states, Arizona, California, New Mexico, and Texas, and the remaining $5 million will be available for the rest of the states that demonstrate a significant influx in migrants. So any of the other states that are not border states that say, oh, we have all these migrants coming in, help us, give us money, that's where that other 5 is going to go, okay? Several groups contacted by Arizona Mirror said that they had been notified of the FEMA award but had not received the funds. The Salvation Army, which operated an overnight shelter in Yuma for about 7 months this year, that's the one that was always overloaded. They only had room for about 200, and so they just started releasing them onto the streets of Yuma, and all these migrants were literally roaming Yuma on the streets with nowhere to go. Okay, that's what they're talking about right here. They received the largest reimbursement among Arizona organizations, $202,000, $422, okay, 202,422. Sorry, I couldn't spit that out. Jeffrey Brazil, if I'm saying that right, with the Salvation Army in Yuma, said the organization served about 5,800 people at its migrant shelter. He said the organization spent more than $400,000 to assist migrant families. You guys, think about that for a second in your head. That's just Yuma. That's just Yuma. They declared an emergency. Yuma declared an emergency, okay? That's just Yuma. Imagine El Paso, all right? Yeah, where they're still funneling in, okay? You've seen the footage before. They can just walk right through the train tracks there. There's no wall. The wall literally stops, okay? You can see it from either side, the US side, the Juarez side. You can see there's just a train there, you guys. There's just a train. All they have to do is walk through the train. Very few Mexican military are there, if any, to say, oh, stop, don't do that. Okay, we need a wall in El Paso. That wall needs to continue. Here in Arizona, where we do have gaps in the wall, it's being built. All right. And I know we talked about this briefly in one of the previous live streams I had in the last couple weeks. Somebody mentioned that they are building private wall, okay, privately funded wall. We Build the Wall is in Texas right now, building a chunk of the wall. I cannot tell you where. That's confidential information. Because we can't let the cat out of the bag. You know how difficult it was to do it in Sunland Park. They went in and out and they were done in like super, super fast. I mean, Sunland Park didn't even know they were coming with the trucks and everything. It was brilliant. It was brilliant. But that's because people were hush, hush. Okay. So we still have to stay that way, stay hush, hush, because we don't want that to become a problem and that people to try and stop it like they tried with Sunland Park, okay? We want that piece of the wall up. But there is still a section near Juarez that is wide open, all right? So all these people are going to come in, funnel into churches and other charities, and FEMA's going to pay them to do that. That's how it works, okay? In the Phoenix and Tucson areas, U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement began releasing thousands of migrant families to churches and community groups in October of 2018. I have been doing this for a year now. This channel started and became a border news channel. Now I cover other things, but it was specifically a border news channel since October of last year, okay? And I've known that this has been happening since then. I should have had like a 1-year anniversary, like live stream party. I don't know why I didn't do that. Sometimes when the community groups were overwhelmed, ICE would drop the migrant families off near a sidewalk, prompting urgent calls for meaningful city and state assistance, whichever came. True story, okay? They were releasing them here in Phoenix too. The Greyhound buses, you guys remember me doing live streams about the Greyhound buses? Greyhound bus station had to shut their doors and wouldn't let people in unless you had a valid current ticket, because there were so many migrants that were there and had nowhere to go, and they were literally just sleeping and laying down and using their facilities, and it was like a homeless shelter. Yeah. Let's be happy for those of us in Arizona that they're not doing this at the airports, because I'll tell you right now in California, and this is confirmed by a pilot I know, okay, that California and the West Coast is having problems with homeless people merging into airports, sleeping in the airports, using the facilities, et cetera, because that's an easy place to walk around and maybe not show up, maybe not be seen. Until you try and sleep on the floor with your shopping cart, I suppose. But, you know, when you see homeless people taking a bath in the bathroom sinks, that's a problem, okay? So I guess in Arizona, we should be happy that we don't have the homeless or migrants taking over our airport because they have nowhere else to go. Yeah. So that's the article on FEMA. Now I have 2 last articles. They're pretty quick, so I know this is a longer live stream than usual, but you know, let's go with it, you guys. Let's go with it. 911 call leads to migrants rescue. Here we go, coming to save the day again, Border Patrol. And this is from the Border Patrol website, you guys. So it's there if you guys want to read the full article. It was posted November 20th on U.S. Customs and Border Protection. I do watch their tweets and get their information. Tucson, Arizona, U.S. Border Patrol agents rescued 2 illegal aliens in distress west of Nogales after they called 911 Tuesday night. So how did they know to call 911? That's what I want to know. Do we have signs down there that say if you experience an emergency, call 911? I don't know. I'm going to have to ask Jen that because she's been down on the border more than me. I know that we have like emergency stations where you can press the button basically and somebody will come get you. I think that's in California though. I don't know about Arizona. I'm going to find out though. Okay. Shortly after 10 p.m., Santa Cruz County Sheriff Department received a 911 call from 2 suspected, alleged illegal aliens requesting help, stating they had been lost in the desert over a week. The call was routed to the U.S. Customs and Border Protection Joint Intelligence and Operations Center along with GPS coordinates of the individual's location. So I don't know, did they call on their cell phone? Like, how did that work? I want to know how that went down. An aircraft from the Air and Marine Operations Tucson Air Branch located the 2 individuals. Border Patrol agents responded on the ground and determined the men, Mexican nationals illegally present in the country, were in stable condition and did not require medical assistance. Both men face federal immigration charges following their illegal entry into the United States. And then it goes on and on. So I'll let you guys read the rest if you want to. You guys know where to find it now. It's on the Border Patrol website. Yeah. Lost in the desert for a week. Why? Because migrants don't make good decisions. I don't know how many times I have told you guys that and how many times I will tell you that in the future because there's always new people watching my channel. Migrants do not make good decisions. They run through the desert not knowing where they're going, no food, no water, they're sick, they're dragging their kids behind them, their luggage behind them, whatever, you know? That's why people die in the desert. That's why organizations like No More Deaths exist and put these water drops out there with food and snacks and supplies and whatever, because, okay, they don't want people to die. I don't want people to die, okay? I don't want people to die. I'm just going to tell you that, okay? But I don't think we should be feeding and watering and enabling illegals either. It's kind of on the fence there, you know? Which way do you go? I mean, I'm not a horrible person. You know, I don't want people to die, but I don't want them there in the first place. So now if you want to come here legally, welcome. Welcome if you want to follow our rules and do it the right way. That's that. All right. And the last thing I told you guys, I was going to talk to you about the creative ways that they like to hide drugs and get drugs across the border, huh? Yeah, let me find this article because you guys are going to be like, what? Okay, so remember, we've done it in coconuts. Okay, liquid meth in coconuts. All right. Fake rocks. You know, they hide the drugs in the rocks. They hide the drugs all up in cars and stuff like that. Oh, and remember the pulley system and the water? Yes, you guys remember that? They literally pulled drugs under the water through a pulley system into the United States. Yes, okay. So they get creative. Got to give them credit for creativity here. Border Patrol agents find abandoned marijuana and soccer ball near the Rio Grande River. Yeah, and a soccer ball, you guys. Or I guess it's called football there in other countries. Eagle Pass, Texas. Border Patrol agents assigned to the Eagle Pass station found a backpack containing 1.98 pounds of marijuana inside a soccer ball near the Rio Grande on November 14th. Smugglers use a wide array of concealment methods, says the chief Border Patrol agent. In this case, the contraband was hidden inside a toy that could have potentially caused a tragedy if a child had encountered it. Thankfully, our agents' vigilance and rapid response prevented any harm from reaching our community. I'd like to say they've done it all, but there's going to be something else next week, probably. What do you guys think? What do you guys think is going to be the next method? Maybe we should play a game. What creative way are they going to come up with for getting drugs across the border? Anybody want to shoot off an idea? I don't know. It doesn't amaze me, really. All right, guys, that's what I've got for you guys tonight. I know this has been a long stream. I'm fired. I can't speak. A long live stream. There we go. Thank you. It's been almost an hour and 40 minutes. Has anybody in here been here from the beginning? Say hi. Yep. Let me know right now. Say yes in the chat room. Anybody that's been here from the beginning? I just want to know. Let me know in the chat there. Hey, TKO, remember you sent me your address? Can you do that again for me, please? TKO? You have my email address, right? Sharpie_1975 @Yahoo. Yeah, can you do that again? Because you know I'm really bad. I got everything. You're the last person I haven't sent that thing out to. I'm fired. I'm fired. Atomic News fired herself. Okay, so Betty, you've been here from the beginning. TKO, you've been from the beginning. Thank you. Trey came in about an hour ago. You guys rock. Thank you for being here. TKO says, yeah, fired. Thank you guys so much for being here. I know that was long. You guys are awesome. If you haven't hit the like button, hit the like button. Share this video. Share it on Twitter. Share it on Facebook. Share it, I don't care, to your brother's girlfriend's monkey's cat. All right? Share it. And yes, that cat might just have Facebook. You never know. So I'm going to share it everywhere. The next live stream probably is not going to be until next week before Thanksgiving, probably Tuesday, because I'm off work on Tuesday. I'll probably do a live stream for you guys Tuesday. Don't know what it's going to be about. Just keep a watch on the community section. Sometimes things just happen, like tonight. Tonight was a surprise live stream, but when info comes a knocking, I open the door. So hope you guys all had a good time. Hey, Kim, how's it going? I see you. And until next time, peace out.